Welcome to Massey's Main. I mean, it's Massey's Main Entertainment. Yeah. Welcome to Massey's Main. I mean, it's Massey's Main Entertainment.
Hey everyone, this is Brian here from Massey's Main Entertainment. We're back with the second week of our album exchange. Joined here today by Americana Sam St. John, and my good friend Randy Nelson. Thank you, Randy. I really appreciate both of you gentlemen being here. Last week we started off this inaugural event, and now we're going to continue on here. And I think it's going to be one of those slow grinds trying to get back into it a little bit. And I think because we are so well versed with music, I think between the three of us, sometimes we're going to be suggesting albums that almost nobody has ever heard of, except maybe ourselves and the person we just gave the album to. So it's bound to happen, but we're going to stick with it, and it's lots of fun just to kind of hang out a little bit. Be sure to like, sub, and comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on the album, especially if you've listened to it and you've liked it, or if you have a differing opinion than us. Certainly share it with us. This is just one person's opinion that we're giving about an album that was suggested pretty much on the fly, using whatever little bit of knowledge that each one of us have about it all. So to kick it off tonight, I guess I'll always be starting it off, and I'll tell the person that I gave an album to, and then they can go give it to the other person, and then that way the last album will come back to me at the end of the video, maybe transition just a little bit quicker. So kicking us off tonight, I gave for my album to Randy the new Mountain Goats album, Days, that just came out just a few weeks ago. Randy, you have the comm.
Well, when you first gave me this album, I was looking at the song titles, and then I got a little worried because the first song is Song for Lynn Staley. Of course, Lynn Staley was lead vocalist for Alice in Chains, and I'm not the biggest grunge fan in the world, so I was getting a little worried about that, but there's probably as far as you can get from grunge. They probably have more in common with, like, They Might Be Giants, with some of their inventive lyrics, the quirky arrangements, and they have a sense of humor as well. And one thing I thought when I first saw this, I was going like, you kind of got on me for the cutesy album or cutesy song titles for Chuck Prophet. And then you got ones like Charlie Sheen Reaches Out to the Feds is a song on here, Crying on Eddie Nash's Grave. And I will say that some of this took some Googling for some of these references that they were going with here. I will say the exception about the grunge is on the end of the song for Lynn Staley. They do a little kind of a grunge a little bit at the end, so that was kind of cool. But anyway, like I said, there's lots of name dropping on here, and some of the names are a bit obscure, which I did have to Google. But some of my favorite songs on here are Shallow Grave, one of the more catchy tunes, and one of the more happy songs about death, along with Warren Zevon's My Rides Here, if you know that song. But yeah, very, very fun song, though. But I think maybe the highlight of this album was the song Candlebox. It's kind of a great song about a young band getting their feet wet and learning about touring as a band. And then they were opening up for the hard rock / grunge band Candlebox. And what was cool about this is that I learned that after this album was released, they're actually going to be opening up 3 shows for Candlebox this year. So that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
Another person I had to look up is Annie Haslam, as they had a song entitled Annie Haslam Imperial Phase. And I found out she was the lead singer of Renaissance, which I had heard before, the prog rock group. Like in the song, it says, maybe you don't recall, but Renaissance played at Carnegie Hall, which they did.
Yeah.
And then they ask if there any footage remains. And then one part in the song, we go, they played their most popular song, and another one that was 29 minutes long, which, like a lot of prog rock groups, I guess, they do have some long songs. So I really enjoyed that song. I should mention some of the music. I guess that they used to be more lo-fi from what I understand, but then now they have a more fuller sound, which which I really like, with horns and sax and synthesizer along with guitar and drums. And with the title track Days, they have a really nice bass line. And Days also kind of contemplates aging and mortality in that song as well. Another song is the best hard rock albums of 2013. It's kind of a cool shuffling ditty at odds musically with anything hard rock. And actually no hard rock albums are actually named in the song, but it is very catchy. And speaking of hard rock, they do have a song entitled The Hidden Majesty of Later Venom albums. And Venom was a English heavy metal band.
Right, yeah.
But it's just a cool look at how nostalgia spurs us on as we realize our days are numbered, which maybe that's how they got the title. I don't know. But I just like how they blend humor and nostalgia, pop culture. And I don't think I gave a rating the last time I got, but I'll give this an 8.25. And if there's any other Mountain Goat albums that are similar to this, I'd like to know, because I really enjoyed this one.
Wow.
Yeah, I think their biggest album that they were known for was Tallahassee, was like the one that felt like it was the most commercially successful one that they had. But they seem to have changed. They've seemed to, like, their style has migrated quite a bit over the years, which I think is great for bands to do that, to kind of like, evolve a little bit. So I'm glad you liked it. I think you were up next. You got something for Sam, right?
I gave him, what did I give him? Oh, damn it, Simpson. Can I See You Tonight? Singer-songwriter, kind of more in the Lone Justice, Maria McKee vein of things. Rocks out a little bit more, but that's what I gave to Sam.
Okay.
Yeah, and like you said on the last episode, this is one that you've mentioned a couple times in comments on my videos to try out. Because, yeah, I'm a big fan of especially as I'm getting older. Like, I didn't used to listen to a lot of, like, female singer-songwriter types for whatever reason. It just didn't, like, latch on to me. But in the last several years, there are a lot of, big female artists and, lesser-known indie artists that I'm really liking, and try to see them on tour whenever I can. So I was excited to give this a listen. I'd never heard of her, and going on YouTube to listen, they have a playlist of the album, only 9 songs. So you'd think it was like, oh, it's a short listen. It does feel like a longer listen, because there are a lot of like 4.5-minute songs. There's a 7+ minute song. And I didn't really know what to expect, because I think, Brian, you and I talked last time, like, I don't do any preliminary research beforehand, and really didn't do anything during this whole week of having the album. So I was a little surprised to hear, more, kind of crunchy electric guitars, a little bit more. Grungy is not the right word, but it definitely rocks out more than some of the artists that I listen to. Like, I was trying to place her voice and what it sounded like, and I could never quite get there, because there's an artist that I like a lot called Dory Freeman, who has this kind of softer, mellow, middle of the road kind of voice, maybe with a little bit of soprano, like Joni Mitchell. But Janet didn't really. She had some those mellower songs, which really the second half of the album was more mellow than the first. I could kind of hear that, but yeah, she was definitely unique with her vocal stylings. The first song, called Porch, had some really nice pedal steel guitar on it, which I really like. That's always kind of a hook for me to be drawn into a tune, especially when it's used in modern music like this. My favorite on the album was probably track 2, which is the song Used to Be. And I was actually playing the album one more time before jumping on while I was eating. And my wife was in the kitchen. I was just playing it on my phone, and she said that she really, really liked that song. And I agree. I think it was my favorite on the whole album. The longer song, called Too Close to the Fire, has this long kind of build up to it at the end, and then kind of lets loose at the end, which I liked a lot. I didn't know where that song was going to go because it starts again so slow and then has the build up. Something that that I got on my second listen to the album was the song after that is called "No Use," and the bass line on it had a very similar tone, a very similar melody to the song "Most of the Time" by Bob Dylan from the "Oh Mercy" years, which I was like, that sounds like "Most of the Time" by Dylan. So that was pretty cool. I don't know. Again, I didn't do any research on her. I don't know who her influences are. The musicians that were playing with her. I'm not sure. I think what I struggle with on this album was I think it got off to such a really good start for me with Porch Used to Be and even the song Violet, track 3. But after that, I feel like it really slowed down, and I feel like I was trying my best to kind of stay focused on the latter half of the album. Again, it's only 9 tracks. And I think, I like I said, I really like Too Close to the Fire, which is track 5 or track 6. But other than that, like I wasn't really feeling a strong pull to the second half of the album. I wish I did, because I really dug the direction of again, especially those first 3 songs, and then even Too Close to the Fire. But a lot of it started feeling samey to me, I think. And I'm saying that liking a lot of music where the whole album is completely mellow. So, some of it is probably because I didn't know her going in. I know what I'm getting when I listen to some of the artists that I listen to, that I'm fans of and that I've followed. But I think with her, because I had no real expectation of what it was going to sound like, what the instrumentation was going to be, I think I think it fell a little flat at the end, and I wish it didn't, because she's very, very good. I'd be interested to see some like live tape of her, and to see if the band kind of builds on her songs, with especially since there is a lot of electric guitar on the album, even though it is mellow. There's a lot of electric guitar on the album. But like I said, I enjoyed it. If she was playing in town, I'd probably go check it out. But yeah, it's probably not one that I'll reach for the whole album. But some of those songs, I've liked, and are on my YouTube playlist. So it, again, probably middle of the road album for me. Maybe a 6 out of 10. I think just because it was so samey. But again, I did like it. It should be right up in my alley, but I think because I was going into it without anything, that's kind of where I got stuck. So
Randy, how did you discover her?
Oh, there's a guy named Bill Garrettson. He's got called BC. It's called BC Cummins is his channel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he introduced me to her. So I've got her first. She only has 2 albums out. I have both of them. But it's funny because I was talking with Mazzy, or talking with Brian. Talking with Brian beforehand one time, and I was going like, I'm giving Sam this album, but more I listen to it, I think maybe I should have given it to you.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday a little bit. Yeah.
No, you should definitely pick out a couple of the tracks, Brian, and see what you think. But yeah, it does have a 90s, early aughts feel to it.
Yeah. So is it kind of a Melissa Etheridge or Lucinda Williams a little bit, or
instrumentally maybe more Lucinda, but not as gritty. Her vocals, she has a sweet voice, but it's not like Lucinda's,
right,
gravel voice.
She uses the electric guitar more and everything, but
yeah.
All right, Sam, what'd you have for me, my friend?
Well, because I know you're a fan, you like a lot of the 90s bands and things like that. And this is an album that I've kind of pushed for, I've championed for a few years. It's the Wallflowers and their album Exit Wounds, which is their most recent album, which is now 5 years old, and it came after a really long hiatus. It came after it was 2012 was their last release, and this was 2021. So a good amount of time had gone past, but it's their most recent album. Jacob Dylan at this point is the only remaining member, but that's kind of who matters in the Wallflowers anyway. So I'm interested to hear what you thought about it.
Yeah, obviously, I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, and the only album I've ever listened to prior to this one was Bringing Down the Horse, which of course had their hit song One Headlight on it, and Sixth Avenue Heartache, whatever it was. I think it was another track. And it was all part of that post grunge era where pop music and rock music just really didn't know what direction it was going in. So there was a lot of bands that were very diverse back then, and people were going with. I kind of ran into the same types of situations with this one a little bit. This one really perplexed me a lot, Sam, to listen to, because I felt that there was times where I had the same criticism where Jacob's voice can get a little samey at times. And I'm almost feeling like that 9 years hiatus or not all that being his fault, mind you. We got to remember that, COVID delayed a lot of album releases in the, 2019 and 2020 past maybe what it was intended to be. And I think sometimes, you let something sit for too long. Maybe the mistake was made and you go back and revisit it. And maybe that was the mistake. So I don't want to say that I was disappointed with it, because I did add like 4 tracks off of it that I liked. And especially the one that appeals to me the most is The Dive Bar in My Heart. I think that's probably the best written one off of there. I know that Butch Walker is the producer on this album. And Jacob wanted to have more creative control, I think, was something I read about it. So I don't know, maybe that was a situation there where maybe that hurt it a little bit, because I always thought, so if you're really creative, then you don't mind sitting in a room with other musicians who have other ideas to kind of help your songs be better. I don't know whether Jacob came in and said, well, I want total control, and then you're not getting input from your set musicians that are trying to help you out. Because I know that technically speaking, right, the Wallflowers, the band itself, right, they were gone at this point. They were to the wind. It was all just set musicians that kind of made up this album, I believe. So I mean, I had a little frustrated about that. I did like Roots and Wings, which was a song that I already had added to a playlist prior to that, which kind of surprised me. That I was like, wow, I said, don't even remember listening to the song. But there was moments where I felt like, Jacob wasn't relying on his musicians enough to kind of like build some type of mise en scène within the music and give us some texture and stuff. And then it got bogged down by his voice a little bit more. But I did also like Move the River, and then the closing track, the Daylight Between Us. Very good. That's a very good bookend track that I really enjoyed there. I don't know. I hate giving a score on this one, because I actually listen to this one 4 times instead of 3 times, because we didn't meet on Monday because of my health. Took an extra time to do it, so I wanted to go back and listen to the album again. But it's not a terrible album. The musicianship that was there is, spot on. It's good, solid album. Maybe Jacob's just not my cup of tea overall. So I figure I had it around 6.25, 6.5, maybe on future listens I might have it. But I feel like the combinations of being away for too long, not having your regular musicians, and COVID, probably none of those factors probably helped very much, for the album, I think. But, everybody has a different opinion about it, so, and you obviously are very high on this album. So
yeah,
for a reason. So, but
yeah,
I know I'm trying to be fair about it.
No, that's good. It's boring when people are always like, yeah, it's good. It's good.
No, I mean, I remembered him that song being so, popular in the 90s, but then like even their sophomore, that wasn't even their sophomore album. That Bringing Down the Horse was the sophomore.
That was the sophomore. Yeah.
That was the sophomore album. So they didn't have a sophomore slump. They just kind of just went on, and then suddenly everything
Yeah.
just kind of stopped for the band. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. But anyway, we got to pick some albums for next week, and I have to pick for Sam this time around. And Sam, this might be a little tricky. Uh, one I wanted to ask you right off the bat: have you heard of the band The New Basement Tapes?
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Yeah.
So you've heard Lost on the River already?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have?
Yeah.
Okay.
With like
Oh,
Rhiannon Giddens and Marcus Mumford and Jim
right.
James.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all those guys are all on there.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna go a little bit more old school. Have you heard of the band Bourgeois Tag?
I've heard, I don't think so.
Okay, Bourgeois Tag, tags with two G's. It's a album called Yo Yo. Came out
Okay.
in 1987.
Okay.
Had one top 40 song off of that album, but it's kind of a jangle pop band
Okay.
that kind of broke in just a little bit into the mainstream for a brief moment in time.
Great.
I think that'd be a good one for you.
Interesting.
And you have to pick something for Randy.
I do have to pick something for Randy. All four albums that I pulled four, and I think I've talked about them all on my channel at some point. So I'm just going to, I'll just pick this one. Randy, do you know M. Ross Perkins?
No, I just heard you talk about him. I think I put one song on a playlist, but I don't remember it really.
Okay.
And you and
Alex is a big fan.
Alex has talked about them both. But
This
yeah,
is
I don't know him.
okay. This is his latest. It's called "What's the Matter, M. Ross." So it's just the letter M, Ross. Again, "What's the Matter, M. Ross," and it's yeah, it's some interesting. It's definitely like a throwback type record. But this is kind of a mini concept album, I guess. Kind of he's compared a lot maybe to kind of like Emmett Rose, and there's definitely some like 60s vibes, but it's definitely got some more modern production. But I think you might like it. So there you go.
Right.
Better write that down.
Randy has to pick something for me.
And so, have you heard of Lady Blackbird?
Lady Blackburn? No.
Blackbird, Blackbird.
Nope.
But yeah, you had talked before. I mean, you're a fan of Nina Simone.
Yeah.
And she got her name from the Blackbird song of Nina Simone's. So
Oh,
she calls
okay.
herself Lady. Her real name's Marley Monroe. But yeah, it's called Black Acid Soul. It's from 2021. Kind of these jazz soul compositions, a lot of piano on it. So
I've heard of
if you like Nina Simone, you probably like her, huh?
Yeah, I like Nina.
I've heard of her. I think I've seen like CBS or somebody did a story on her one time. Yeah.
All right. There we have it. That's our album assignments for next week, gentlemen. I really appreciate you guys doing this again this week. Be sure, everybody out there, to like, sub, and comment down below. Like Sam's channel. He puts out a lot of great material out there, especially talking about indie folk music and playing music in general. And check out Randy Nelson's channel as well. Randy's always got interesting videos up highlighting years in movies and TV and music all the time. So be sure to check out Randy. Until next week, guys, take care. Bye-bye.